Here with analysis on the expansion of the Mexico City policy, the renewed effort by the president to repeal and replace Obamacare, and the reaction to the Mueller Report on the Hill. I'm joined by the co-chairman of the Congressional Pro-Life Caucus, Congressman Chris Smith of New Jersey. Congressman, thank you for being here.
Raymond, thank you very much.
Now, this week, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo announced that the administration would expand the crackdown on taxpayer-funded abortions overseas as part of the Mexico City policy. Here's Mike Pompeo on Tuesday. Watch.
We will refuse to provide assistance to foreign NGOs that give financial support to other foreign groups in the global abortion industry. We will enforce a strict prohibition on backdoor funding schemes and ad runs around our policy. We'll make sure that those dollars go to the right place and that not $1 of taxpayer funding goes to the tragedy of abortion around the world.
Now, Congressman, this is being billed as a strict prohibition on this backdoor funding of abortion. Can you explain what that means and how it goes beyond the existing Mexico City policy?
Well, the concern has always been that at some point when a contractor subcontracts, that some of those subcontractees, even though the policy is supposed to include them, that they may not be adhering to the clear policy of the Mexico City policy. And it's been a problem. And Pompeo has now, Secretary Pompeo, moved to make sure that anyone who receives money that comes from the United States government, anywhere along the line, no matter how far down the line they are in terms of contracting, they can't evade the pro-life, pro-child guidelines. And that's extremely important. And you know what's so important about this policy? It's not just U.S. taxpayer funding that we're talking about. If you take one dime of American foreign aid in the global health program and you're a foreign non-governmental organization, you can't use your own money either to kill babies and to promote the abortion agenda worldwide.
Now, so, Congressman Smith, as you know, there's been a lot of blowback against Pompeo's statement. Some are claiming women's health care is going to suffer. Yesterday, Kamala Harris, a Democrat candidate for president in 2020, told MSNBC the following.
What anyone can tell you is, one, that part of our strength as a nation, which has also reinforced our ability to really have national security, is that we have been and have prioritized giving aid to those countries in need around a variety of issues that are about our diplomatic strength, and in particular, supporting nations that need assistance with reproductive health care and services for the women of those countries.
Now, is providing access to and funding for abortion abroad a national security issue, Congressman?
Absolutely not, Raymond. And, you know, that kind of rhetoric, I think, does a disservice to the policy and the truth of the policy. We ensure that all of the dollars that go for the President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, or PEPFAR, and parenthetically, I'm the prime author of the 5-year reauthorization of PEPFAR, $30 billion to ensure that the HIV/AIDS pandemic continues to be combated all over the world, especially in Africa. So that money is flowing without any hindrances whatsoever, as well as money for malaria and all the other diseases and disabilities that we, as U.S. taxpayers and as lawmakers, feel we have to fund. We've got to protect the lives of people, and that's what our foreign aid ought to be all about. Abortion is antithetical to that. Abortion kills babies, harms women, and we want no part of enabling that, and that's why this policy and Trump's and Pompeo's faithfulness to making sure that our funding stream goes to those who choose to do their mission, like on malaria, but don't then spread and go into other things like promoting abortion.
Okay, I got to play this exchange for you. This is your colleague, Democratic Congressman Lois Frankel, confronting Mike Pompeo at the hearing you were at the other day. Watch.
I want to go back to the discussion that some of us had about this global gag rule, what I call this ultra obsession that your administration has with abortion. It's one thing, we don't use federal funds for abortion. I may disagree with that. But the fact of the matter is, your new interpretation of what was called a gag rule now is harming organizations that are doing just general health care, whether it is contraceptive care or HIV or just maternal care.
But there's no one being denied the right to speak. They can say what they want.
Okay, well, tell about how about getting the health care?
What they can't do is take U.S. taxpayer funds and perform abortions or abortion-related services. These are the activities, and we have continued to provide. There are not a single dollar reduction with respect to women's health care that is associated with the president's Mexico City policy and all the ways that we are implementing that.
Your reaction to that? Now, they claim, and many are claiming, that this will impinge upon foreign spending on HIV/AIDS research and relief. Is that a good idea?
Well, again, that's not impinging on our HIV/AIDS or malaria or TB or any other initiative that we've undertaken. We're saying that who we support and who we fund does matter. Mm-hmm. We want people and NGOs in the field and professionals who respect the dignity and the sanctity of unborn children and don't want to be complicit in dismemberment and chemical poisoning of those children, or in the lobby efforts in order to bring down pro-life laws, especially in Africa and in Latin America, where these NGOs often, and during the Obama administration, without a doubt, with U.S. funding, became the main lobby efforts to dismantle those pro-life safeguards in those countries.
So essentially what you're saying is the same amount of money that has been allocated to HIV research, HIV/AIDS, malaria, all of those funds remain at their current levels. This is merely a matter of who's dispensing that aid on the ground.
You got it exactly right, Raymond. It's all about who we support. Mm-hmm. Do we want to support the abortion industry that might also say, oh, they're going to work on some other disease or disability issue? Or do we go to groups like Catholic Relief Services and so many others who are faithful in saying, we want to care for the person, we don't want to put an unborn child at risk of death or the mother of harm from abortion. That's what, not a dime through this policy. It's just a matter of who we fund. And again, they choose. They talk about the choice. They choose to let abortion promotion and performance trump everything else. Yeah. I'm talking about the people like Ms. Frankel.
Before I run out of time, Congressman, I got to move on. I got a lot of issues to get to. House Democrats killed the Born Alive Infant Survivors Act this week. Now, this is the 20th time that they have nixed this bill. Why is it so controversial to protect the lives of a newborn child after an attempted abortion?
Frankly, Raymond, it's outrageous that we cannot even get pro-abortion members in the House or Senate, because they've had votes too that have failed, to at least protect the child who survives a later term abortion and is in need of due diligence, good medical care to protect his or her life. The dirty little secret in these abortion mills and Gosnell brought at least some light and scrutiny to what goes on behind those doors, is that when these children do survive, they kill them. He called it snipping when he would cut the back of their necks. I mean, that's barbaric. Yeah. That is barbaric. And we need to be, really clear. Everybody talks with all these euphemisms and talk with, all these high-sounding and highfalutin phrases. When you kill a baby now who's born, and we got the governor of New York, Cuomo, celebrating legislation that would not permit or require, a better word, that there be a protection for those newborn children who survive. There's a whole group of people. I remember I did a speech in 2012 on what two ethicists called afterbirth abortion, and said, the child after birth, and they even call it a child, really doesn't have much value or worth even after the birth. So if you want to kill the baby, that's okay. And look what the governor over in Virginia, nearby here to D.C., said. They'll have a discussion about what they do with that precious child who's gasping for air and breath and concern and care.
Congressman, the other big story of the week I have to get to, it really eclipsed all the others, is the release of the Mueller Report and the AG's summary. Now, the Speaker Pelosi, is insisting that she wants the entire report and that the bar's summary was an insult. Politically, Why would the Democrats and Speaker Pelosi continue to beat this Russian collusion drum when it doesn't seem there's anything there?
Well, I think the credibility of a whole lot of people is now being brought into sharp focus. For 2 years almost, we've been told over and over and over again that Trump was guilty of collusion with the Russians. He maintained his innocence. They didn't even provide him the benefit of that doubt. Declarative sentences were made over and over again. Guilty, guilty, guilty. Let's impeach, some people would say. And then Mueller, who had a very, I would say, partisan staff based on the makeup of many of those lawyers, and there were 19 lawyers, 40 FBI and others, really experts in the field on that side, looking at all this, and they said, no collusion. Why can't that be accepted? Why can't they just say, you know, and of course we had a vote in the House to say, bring it all out and make it public, but there needs to be, for national security and other reasons, a fair amount of redacting that goes on to protect other people and sources and methods. But I am shocked myself. I've been in Congress 39 years. I've never seen such a drumbeat for maligning somebody after the special counsel who spent all those months digging into every detail, trying to turn witnesses with indictments and the like, and still comes up and says, no collusion.
Yeah, no, it's an amazing triumph for the president, certainly. The president announced this week the fulfillment of a campaign promise to repeal and replace Obamacare. Now, the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that without the individual mandate that you and other Republicans eliminated in 2017, Obamacare itself is unconstitutional. Now, the Trump DOJ is supporting that ruling. Given the political winds, Congressman, is that a good idea to support the eradication of Obamacare at this point?
Well, my strong concern is that, and I'm the prime sponsor of the bill that has passed the House 3 times in 3 separate Congresses, the No Taxpayer Funding for Abortion Act, is to, at a minimum, take abortion out of Obamacare. When President Obama spoke to a joint session of Congress, he told us that our plan will not be using tax dollars to subsidize for abortion. Nothing could be further from the truth. We had the General Accountability Office verify that over 1,000 plans have abortion on demand subsidized by you and I, the taxpayer. This is after President Obama gave us assurances and even an executive order that sadly had no power and it was a fig leaf to get some Democratic pro-life votes to vote for Obamacare. This should have been off the table. Our bill would do it. My hope is that we can get that legislation passed. You know, probably not now with the pro-abortion majority in the U.S. House, but the time will come when we will get that passed and abortion will be taken out of Obamacare.
Congressman Chris Smith, thank you for being here, and we will be, of course, checking in with you in the days ahead. Thanks again.
Thank you, Raymond. Appreciate it.